Eloise is a young woman with supernatural gifts who moves to London to attend fashion school. She begins to realize that she could transport herself into an aspiring singer during 60s-era London. What starts out as a dream come true turns into terror as the past bleeds into the present. Hey everyone, welcome back to a very special episode of Clubhouse Movies Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Rubalcaba, joined once again by Mr. Abel Panetta. Today we are reviewing Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright.
A budding fashion designer slumbers her way into her favorite era, the 60s. Her fashion is booming thanks to her time away. But what happens when this time away begins to seep into her daily life? Is her mind unfurling, or are these dreams hinting at something more?
So, before we get into this movie, I want to share an experience with you.
I'm ready.
I have the picture up here on the screen right now, and you can. If you're watching this, I'm going to try to paint a picture with words here. It's an empty movie theater hall.
Mm-hmm.
To your right is Theater 5, the theater that I saw this movie in.
Okay.
To your left is actually a mural of world-famous directors. And who do we see right opposite of Theater 5? M. Night Shyamalan.
Jesus.
M. Night Shyamalan.
And he's staring at you.
He's
doing that squinty one eye kind of, looking you up and down.
And as I walked into the theater, I turn around and I see M. Night Shyamalan looking at me. And I think to myself, I wonder if I'm going to have what thoughts I'm going to have when I come out of this movie.
This is going to be great.
And I thought to myself, why do we dislike M. Night Shyamalan? This movie is why.
This movie is absolutely why. It is. There's no other way to say that. There's other ways to twist a movie.
This movie is kind of a perfect movie.
It is. And the thing is, you don't believe that unless you're I want to say into the third act.
Yeah, it really starts to when you first start watching it, you start to see pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah, and it's playing with you.
Yes.
Because it's drawn out. And right when you think it's drawn out a little too long, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and this movie it plays the long game with you.
Yeah.
And it plays with your emotion, and it plays with conventions of movies, and
the cinematography alone too. Not to mention the actual, movie itself, the play and the writing and all this stuff. But the filming and the way it's just taking you in and out, you're watching it. You're both mesmerized and confused. You're like, what's happening?
Yeah, the performances, the characters. You are in for a roller coaster ride that doesn't let go. And I want to see this again.
I'm going to see this again. And the crazy
I want to give you homework.
Yeah, I want to give. If you're listening or watching this right now, I want to give you homework.
Yeah,
I was watching this as a huge Edgar Wright fan, and if you don't know who Edgar Wright is, that is Mr. Shaun of the Dead fame right there.
Yeah, and I was thinking about Edgar Wright. I didn't see Baby Driver, but I've seen the Ice Cream trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End.
Yeah,
and they're perfect movies. At World's End, especially, it really had a slow burn. I saw with I saw with my dad. He almost walked out. He's like, "This movie's so stupid."
And you're watching it,
and then the movie goes over the cliff.
Well, the thing is,
he's like, "Oh wait, something's happening."
When I was watching that movie the first time, I had this slowly growing, and I'm gonna have to bleep this one, slowly growing eating grin. I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, and then I like Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is also a very perfect movie, but if you follow Shaun of the Dead, there are clues as to what's going to happen. A lot of foreshadowing and visual cues,
oh my God,
too.
It's the best.
And this movie has it too.
I even had one, and if you're a Shaun of the Dead fan, I had this one moment where I called it a get in the car, Barbara.
This movie.
I just saw the scene and I was like, oh my God.
So I think we're gonna have some glowing reviews, hopefully, for this one. So that's our immediate takeaway. And M. Night Shyamalan, see this movie and take notes, buddy.
Please. I mean, we want you obviously have the fan base somehow.
You've already sold your soul to the devil.
Yeah, you have the money. People are giving you money for scripts. Watch this, take notes, and adjust the movie that you have in production right now.
Whatever the heck you greenlit last week. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but anyway.
Anyway, so
the first thing that took me on a ride was that two actresses play the main character, and they are playing a mirror image of each other, and it is the craziest thing to see two separate actresses play the same person.
This movie, man, like it really gets inside your head, and also it's relatable in a lot of ways. Maybe we can get into it, but there are some relatable instances in this movie that kind of that make me think back. But Anya Taylor-Joy is the main '60s character. Let's say, she was also in
the Queen's Gambit,
but she was in Unbreakable and
Glass. In Unbreakable she was.
So M. Night Shyamalan had the tool,
and Edgar Wright took her and elevated her to another level and just pooped all over M. Night. Just
Edgar Wright, man. So I almost think Edgar Wright should be elevated.
And I just saw this
to James Cameron status now.
Definitely, and he did this with $43 million budget.
It's not an expensive movie, and you know what? This movie is, for all intents and purposes, a horror, maybe
it's a psycho thriller. Yeah,
I still want to go to London.
I still want. If anything, I was actually watching this, going, "My God, I really want to own a pub in like London."
This movie is like
in a basement.
Yeah, I remember that they had the bartender, and she was like drinking the bartender Kool-Aid. You know, people come here, they got dreams, and they tell you the stories. Yeah, and it's good. Yeah, and they just want a drink.
She's totally living like her life through them. You know. It's the craziest thing, and you can't help but fall for it. Like, the characters are really good in this movie. You know, they come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and there's one chick, man. You really hate her.
Yeah, we'll talk about her too.
And very quickly, you hate her.
Yeah, they make you hate this woman. They make you hate a lot of the students who go to the school. But so this movie, we'll kind of get into how the plot and everything unveils. Yeah. Let's say part one: small town girl with The Shining.
Yes,
moves to the big city.
You heard that right, The Shining.
So she very obviously has, and I can't think of a better word than she has The Shining.
Also, I was like, oh my God, M. Night, another one. Because guess what, people? She sees dead people.
Oh my God! But you know what though? I got to go back to Kubrick. I got to go back to one of the classics. So she has The Shining.
She does.
And she wants to be a fashion designer, and you see her dancing around in a dress that she made herself out of newspapers.
Yeah, so it's very, I'll say, Cruella-esque right there, because it is pretty much that. And
throughout this whole movie, we're playing like old '60s music, so we have very obvious clues that she really likes the '60s.
Super clues. It's well done too. I mean, the audio, the music really lends itself into all the events that are happening. And the songs tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, and even when I was watching the credits, I noticed Diana Rigg was in this movie, and I know she died recently. She's she plays the old woman in this movie, and the movie was actually dedicated to her, so that was nice.
Oh, nice!
But I saw them like, oh, Diana Rigg, I like her, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But The Shining, I was looking for clues in this scene, and I was working a little too hard, and I think I found one. I don't know if you picked up on this.
Honestly, I was so taken aback by what the hell was happening.
Okay.
Probably not.
There was, at the very beginning, her grandma, because what happened was her mom in the past had committed suicide. We think
we don't find that out until a little bit later.
But she lives with her grandma, and she still sees her mom in mirrors.
Yes.
Right? And her grandma goes through the letters, or goes through the mail, and finds a what do you call it? An acceptance letter to
the London School of Fashion or something. Yeah,
fashion school. I swear. You ever see magic tricks where a magician shows you cards and he goes like, "Oh, flip through the cards. Put the card in the deck."
Yeah.
And then you see the card and somehow they know what it is.
Yeah.
I swear to God, one of the letters said red rum on it.
No way.
So that's why when you go back and check.
So I want to go back now. I did not catch it because I was probably down on my phone writing some notes.
Yeah, so because if it truly did say red rum, then that actually goes full circle back around into this movie.
Man, but it makes it that much sweeter because I just saw it. So I saw it just a few hours before our recording here. So it's fresh. I'm like unraveling it as I'm talking about it, and it's just. And I'm discovering more nuances as I'm talking about it.
Only one thing took me out of the movie, though, was the fact that she had Beats headphones.
Dude,
Like they were so beats. I actually drew like a throw up emoji. Bleh.
Yeah, I saw them and I was like, oh.
This character Eloise, we'll call her Ellie also. She is super old school. She has records.
Yeah, she makes her own clothes.
She makes her own clothes. Somehow, I don't think she would have beats. I think she would have old Jane. Remember Starsky and Hutch?
Wireframe ones? Yeah.
Like the old cans.
That took me out of it too because it was the only thing in this movie that felt out of place.
Yeah.
This movie would be timeless otherwise.
That really is my only gripe, but I guess like people got a, what's the word? People got a product placed, dude. It's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, Coca-Cola was placed like hell in that thing too.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Literally in your face. Like held to the camera. I'm like, how much did they pay
like
for this?
3 times. They were so brave to put it in there.
Yeah. Freaking crazy, man.
She goes to school. She goes to the dorm, and then her dorm mate is this like crazy bitch.
Dude, such a douchebag.
She kept on trying to be a one-upper, and then she said like, my mom died. Oh, my mom died too.
Yeah, she's like,
she's so brave.
Sucks. And then she's like, what? Then her friends are like, how'd your mom die? She's like, she actually committed suicide. And they're like, everybody's trying to say, oh, you're so brave. Oh my God. So then she's like, well, my great uncle, he committed suicide. So I know how you feel.
She was such a bitch.
Oh God, what the?
And then they went to go hit up the bar. But did you notice when they went to go hit up the bar, they had like a Shaun of the Dead, like
they did,
like smash cuts to like drinks pouring.
It was the best thing. It was the best thing. I like pointed at the screen. I was like, a pint.
And you remember what drink? We'll get into that later on, but like
a slice of fried gold.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was so good. But she went to the restroom, and then her idiot friends went to go do some coke in the restroom in the stall next to her or whatever.
Just are totally talking crap about her.
Talking crap about her homemade dresses and her mom, and like, oh, she probably want to kill herself too eventually.
I know. I was like, oh, dude, no.
So this inspires Miss Eloise to seek out an apartment.
Yeah, a new place, a flat, we shall say, because it does take place in London.
So she actually runs into the owner of the flat, which is played by Diana Rigg.
Yep, Miss Collins.
Miss Collins, yeah. And then she's got some rules: no men.
It's a bit old-fashioned for some, but I won't do nothing to it. If you don't like it, you can find somewhere else.
It's perfect. I love it.
It's really quiet, but you can smell the baguettes.
Yeah.
You can smell the baguettes when they cook. So she decides to take this apartment somehow.
Yeah. And as she's walking through it, the lady is telling her, I haven't remodeled this since like the 60s. And she's touching. So Eloise is touching all of the stuff in there. And she's like, that's fine. This is my favorite era anyway.
Yeah. But she still goes to school. She runs into and she also runs into this guy's going to be her boyfriend.
Yep. It's John, played by Michael Aho.
So a motif that keeps kind of happening through this movie is that men are douchebags.
Yeah.
So even the not the bartender, even the taxi driver who takes her to the dorm originally, he's like, you might have your first stalker. It might be me.
Like blatantly, dude. I got the heebie-jeebies when that guy picked her up.
He said he's like, I might stalk you later. You'll be seeing me a long time.
He's like, are you going to that model school?
Oh, the model's so pretty. You can be pretty.
He's like, you got the legs for it.
Ugh.
And she's like, okay.
And then immediately after that, she runs into James.
Yeah.
And John, I'm sorry.
John, sorry.
John, he's like, yeah, I'll help you. And she's like, I don't need any help because she already got ooglied by like this dude.
Yeah. And the thing is, the way she meets John is they already kind of painted the scene to be kind of creepy. So you're like already uncomfortable for her.
Yeah. Because I didn't know that he was another student. I thought he was just some dude.
I did too.
Yeah.
And that was well written.
It was well written, well directed,
it drove the emotion. Like you were there.
Like you didn't want to trust John.
Yeah, you were feeling, and you don't trust John until he proves himself. And then you're like, okay, you can trust him. That's okay.
Yeah. But so now the main convention of this movie starts to happen here.
Yes.
She goes to bed, and when she goes
in the new apartment,
and she ends up. So she has The Shining. She doesn't see her mom anymore. But somehow if she was the driver in a vehicle, so she becomes not the driver, passenger.
The passenger.
She becomes the passenger to Sandy.
Yeah.
In the 60s London.
Yeah. So she's riding shotgun, pretty much just with Sandy. So whatever Sandy sees, she sees, also experiences in a weird way.
Yeah, and Sandy,
like physically,
Sandy boops her. Like, and she looks in the mirror and she can see her, and when Sandy boops her, they switch places sometimes.
Yeah, so it's just like if you're looking at your own reflection, you finger tap yourself.
And I was thinking about this too, like in the way they film this, because this is a ghost story, right?
It is a ghost story. Yes.
But in the past, Eloise is the ghost.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking about like the way this was written, and I was thinking about like because later on she would go in the past, come back and forth, and I don't know if you did, but I totally got Midnight in Paris vibes.
Of course,
about the rules and like what's going on, and she's like, I'm gonna go back again later.
Yeah, and I was like, how does she know she's gonna go back again later?
Exactly. Like,
is it just assuming you guys know this time pocket is here?
Yeah. So to me, this is a darker Midnight in Paris when this came up. But Sandy is an aspiring lounge singer, or she wants to be a star.
Yes.
And she's played by Anya Taylor-Joy, expertly played by Anya.
Expertly.
Like, who else can be this role? Like, nobody.
Yeah, and the thing is, the way she played this role is, she really somehow she's a main character, but also a secondary character. And you're not as crazy invested in her as you are the experience that Ellie is experiencing through her. You know?
Well, as the story progresses, we start to feel for her and her plight.
Yes. I mean, obviously, if you don't, you're a huge D-bag.
I know. And I was actually worried for a while that Eloise wasn't going to school. That she was.
I was too, man.
But it turns out she was. And she ended up, because she had to pay for this apartment also, taking a job at that bar.
Yeah, she worked at the pub.
At the pub.
Get a proper point at the pub.
But that's where the bartender's like, boss, the bar is such a magical place.
Yeah.
And
she's comparing it to Disneyland.
Yeah.
It's a bar.
And then all through this, Terrence Stamp, he plays the old guy. You'll recognize him as General Zod in the original Superman.
Yep.
And he's been around, but he's always like being a creeper on her and like staring at her. And that's in the present.
Yes.
But when she goes to the past, that's where she meets Matt Smith.
The bartender said I should get to know the handsome fella standing next to Cilla Black.
You should. And you are?
The next, Cilla Black.
Does Matt Smith have a name? Jack.
Jack.
She means Jack.
Yeah.
And
Eyebrowless Wonder.
Yeah. So Jack's played by Matt Smith, who was that Doctor Who guy with the big chin.
And no eyebrows.
And no,
I mean, he has eyebrows, but
it's just a big forehead.
Looks like he has just.
He looks like a mannequin.
You know what he looks like? He kind of looks like one of those from Star Wars from Star Trek, the dudes that have the
like
Korg.
A Klingon.
Oh, Klingon. He looks like a Klingon, dude.
In Doctor Who, since he was a time traveler, they said like, "Have you ever been to Easter Island? Have you seen the statues?" Like he looks like a big. Anyway,
roasted.
Pretty much. So Jack is. He's hanging.
Man.
There's a hoity-toity like lounge bar where she goes and she's like, I want to be the singer here, and like even like there's some dudes like ogling her, and this is Sandy, by the way.
Yes,
this
Sandy.
is Eloise inside Sandy.
Yeah,
spooking Sandy, and she's like, oh, I wanna be a lounge singer, and even they're like there's this dude ogling her.
Yeah,
like pretty much like the taxi
another
driver was.
old dude, pretty much a spitting image of the guy that ogled Ellie.
Hello, you're a gorgeous creature. What's your name?
Sandy.
Care to join my friends tonight, Sandy? I'm whatever you want me to be, Sandy.
Yeah, so he's ogling Sandy while Ellie is riding her inside her or whatever. And the bartender says, oh, maybe you could talk to Jack. Jack knows all the girls around here. And so she meets Jack here.
Yes,
and they start dancing. They have a mask moment where they're dancing.
Yeah, they're straight up doing mask dances.
Tearing the road up, and they're doing number one. And then that creepy dude comes and he's like, "Hey, well, let me get the next dance." He's like, "No, I'm with Jack. No, I want the." And he gets really creepy. And
and he drops some profanity against her, and then Jack is like, "I'm a gentleman. I will fight you, sir."
Yeah.
So he punches him in the face a couple times.
He punches him in the face, and then like he wrecks him. And then at this point, I was thinking, like, I don't think he's going to be allowed back at this bar.
Yeah.
Like that, to me, that was like a red flag.
Absolutely a red flag.
It's not like he went and like saw the owner of the bar. He's like, oh, this guy was being.
Yeah. He just decked him a couple times and then left.
He had then, to me, became like somebody else. Like he wasn't the
gentleman that
he wasn't the gentleman, and he wasn't a regular at that bar.
No.
So that was like a first clue to me. And also like this movie, like, it started saying like dudes are like spooky.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Jeez.
It's like what's the scariest thing of all? Dudes.
Dude, you should see all these dudes. Spooky dudes.
Lots of spooky dudes.
Oh my God.
But
with no eyeballs. God.
So Matt Smith, Jack, gets her an audition at this seemingly nice bar.
Yeah, it called the Rialto or something like that. Something fancy.
Fancy, and she sings like a really slow downtown, which, by the way, I've been listening to like a bunch of times since this movie. The down-tempo downtown.
Oh, man. It's going to wreck my brain.
Which she expertly sings, and apparently gets the job.
Yeah.
But the job isn't what...
I was going to say, not the job she expected,
Not the job she expected. And this is all taking place in the 60s. She ends up becoming a burlesque dancer.
Yeah.
And this place is not only a burlesque club. There's just a bunch of raunchy dudes hanging out, but there's also like...
It's straight up like a swanky gentleman's club. There's only dudes in there apart from the singers and waitresses.
There's only dudes in there, and they're all dressed like old-timey.
Yeah.
And
they're dressed like they're going to an auction.
Yeah, and then backstage there's like heroin going on, and there's like prostitution going. Yeah, it's like the worst place.
And the thing
ever.
Is, you're seeing this as flashes because, mind you, Ellie is inside of Sandy, so she's seeing this as Sandy is experiencing it. So she's trying to get the heck away from this. So it's just flash after flash after flash, and all she sees is dead end hallways because she can't escape.
Exactly, and meanwhile, Jack is becoming Sandy's pimp.
Yeah, like straight up. And the thing is, it's not said that he's becoming a pimp. You should...
Well, there was a scene... I think later on...
it's actually said.
She says he's his pimp, but like there's a scene where they're at the... they're talking to some dude, and she's like, yeah, you should talk to this guy. This guy knows these guys, and this guy knows that guy. And
yeah.
He's like, yeah, why don't we spend the night? He's like, well, I'm with Jack. Jack doesn't care.
And then she looks over at Jack, and he's like, I don't mind. And you're like,
I don't mind.
Jack is a jackass.
Yeah, right? So, yeah, she ends up becoming a
call girl.
A call girl, lady of the night, and just a sad sack.
Yeah, and it's just a repetitive thing. And so it's happening repetitively to her. And all of this is also happening repetitively to Ellie because Ellie is experiencing this. And every time she goes to sleep, she's waking up freaking out because she's in these nightmare scenarios.
And Ellie was really looking up to Sandy in the beginning. She was dressing like her. She got her hair done like her, to the point where Terrence Stamp is like, I think I know you from somewhere, lady.
Yeah, and Terrence Stamp is like 60 years her senior at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's crazy because, this is when things start falling apart when she's, she was doing great in school. And obviously she's a fashion designer. So she's taking all of her fashion design language from
Sandy.
From Sandy's 60s outfits. And her teachers are glorifying her, telling her she's doing so great and all this stuff. Meanwhile, she's unraveling. She's losing it.
Because now that Sandy is, in essence, a prostitute, she starts tearing up the dress that she was inspired by, and her teacher's like, "It's okay, it's a freak out. It'll be all right."
It's like freaking creatives, we get it.
And then when they were in the past, did you notice what drink everyone kept on ordering?
The Vespa.
The Vesper. You know what the Vesper is?
I do not know.
James,
I saw the drink. Was it like a soda and gin?
No. So James Bond, right?
Yeah, I know.
The Vesper Martini. He named in Casino Royale. He named the Vesper Martini. It was like he had a whole thing in a lemon peel. So they were ordering Vesper Martinis.
Oh,
right. I like the Vespa Martini.
See, and the accent threw me off because I thought they were saying Vespa.
So they were acting like, and believe it or not, this was actually another clue as to what's happening in this movie.
Yeah,
and we'll talk more about that. And then there's a Halloween party in the real world. And did you notice who the bitch chicks were dressed as?
Yeah, they were the
craft girls.
Yeah. No, craft, dude. I saw them and I was like, no way. I was like, this is crazy.
So that was something I haven't seen since 1996.
Yeah, that was a throwback. It hit me like a brick. I was like, whoa, I instantly recognized that.
And that's where she actually stops like going into the past for a while.
Yeah.
She stops jumping. And she actually hooks up with Jack here at this point.
Yeah, so Jack is John. She hooks up with John. So John is her...
Yes, John. John's her real boyfriend.
Yeah, her boyfriend.
Why do they both have to be John and Jack?
I don't know. So John is Ellie's boyfriend in real life. Jack is Sandy's pimp boyfriend. Weird. Mm-hmm. In the 60s, in the past. So they're both painted. They have both ghost-like faces with like panda markings on their eyeballs. And, Ellie doesn't want to go to sleep because sleep time means nightmares, means She is getting bugged out by all these creeps.
Yeah. So now when she goes to bed, she sees actual creepy dudes since she was a call girl in her room.
Yeah, and not just regular creepy dudes. They
have no faces.
They have no faces. They're black and white, like they're gray skin.
They're like a Slender Man.
Yeah, Slender Men with sunken eye sockets, and they're in this state of flux where they're vibrating, so you can't get a fix on their face. It's the freakiest thing I've seen Edgar Wright do.
It was good, and then
it won't haunt you, but it'll bug the crap out of you.
And then Eloise takes John to her apartment, which she's not supposed to take boys to the apartment.
No boys to the apartment,
because her landlord will kill them if they ever come. So to me, this scene when she sneaks John into her apartment,
yeah,
I got high school vibes.
Dude, because such high school vibes. Well, she was such a young, like
she was, but to me,
she's so innocent.
The innocent girl sneaking the boy into the apartment while the creepy old lady is in like the other room.
Yeah,
keeping things down, and then like after that, it progressed into like in a way like John's nightmare is to like maybe I'm not welcome here anymore.
Dude. Yeah, like super like. I'm the rapey guy now?
Yeah.
What?
Well, hold on. Like, nobody said the R word. Like, I can leave. So what's happening here is Eloise is having flashbacks in real time, but these are like the spooky flashbacks. These are like ghosts now. Before, it seemed like she was being welcomed into the past, but now she is being haunted. It's like
it's melding into her actual reality.
Like if we're going back to The Shining, now we're in Shining mode.
Yep,
where the
full
ghosts
panic, full like everything is terror.
Where the ghosts are after her, and the thing about this is we don't know who these ghosts are. They're just like men. They're just dudes, like
lots of them,
Slender Men dudes. And then during this flashback, we see Jack like pull like a knife ready to kill
like a
Sandy
straight up freaking Michael Myers blade while they're in her bed, and he is mounted
in the
atop
present.
her.
So during the present,
yeah,
it's like Jack is just about to like have sex with Eloise, but he's freaking out because she's freaking out because she's stuck in the 60s.
Yeah, because there is this mirror right above the bed
that's no longer there.
Yeah, yeah,
because it gets broken or something. It's just a perfect meld of like terror.
Yeah,
and even Jack goes a little diehard because the mirror breaks there and he messes up his feet.
Yeah,
and he's running out.
Jeez, man. I mean, John. Sorry, John.
So yeah, it's because they're both there in the room.
Yeah, so
at different time periods.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So I'll break it down really fast. So in the bed is Sandy and Jack. Jack is on top of her holding a blade. In the bed in our time, John is mounted on top of Eloise because they're trying to get it on. And in the 60s, Jack is trying to stab Eloise in the face or the body with a freaking blade, and she scratches his face.
Yeah.
And then we start seeing these flashes of Eloise's eyes in the blade. So in the actual blade, and all you hear is... You are hearing that. Every time it hits, you are seeing Ellie's eyes flash on the blade. Blood everywhere.
Yeah, at this point, Eloise is convinced that Jack murdered Sandy in the 60s.
Yep.
She even goes to the police.
Yeah, Swiss cheesed her. Jeez.
And she's like, there, and she keeps telling people, she told her landlord, like, someone was murdered in like my apartment. She's like, a lot of people are murdered in everyone's apartment.
Yeah, it's like, who just accepts that as fact?
And then she went to the police, and the police were pretty much like the same way. Like, a lot of people are murdered in London. London's a scary city.
Yeah, and especially Soho, I guess. And apparently the detective was a douchebag. Just again, they
talking crap in the bathroom.
Yep.
Bathrooms,
and she hears it as she's getting water at the water fountain. It's like, come on, man.
But then the female detective, she's like, well, I'll ask around. I'll see if anything happens.
She's like, I believe you.
She's like, I don't disbelieve you, but I'll look into it. But then they start doing like research and trying to figure out what happened. So her and I don't want to say John, her and John in the present go to the library trying to figure things out. But during this, Eloise is having all kinds of like crazy flashbacks. And there was also another quote here.
Okay.
There's a scene where Jack in the 60s actually pops out from behind a tree, but like he just kind of like they key him in. So he just kind of appears like he jumps.
Okay. I must have been writing. My bad.
That's the first, like whenever we first see Freddy Krueger, that's how he appears.
No way.
So there's like, like a thin poultry, like a little, and he like, he jumps out and like freaks her out in like the street. That was the first time we see Freddy Krueger. So that was a direct Freddy Krueger quote there. But in their library, they're trying to figure it out, and then the Slender Men keep coming after her.
Yeah, so she's in the library. She's looking through. She goes to the librarian, And he's like, oh, you look like you're making a murderer project? And she's like, yeah. He's like, killer. I was like, ah.
Yeah, a lot of people actually look up to her in the class because she has like this crazy 60s design because she's totally in love with Sandy.
60s. Yeah, Sandy. So she's in the back of the library scanning through these old newspaper filings, and she asks John to do the same. Well, while he goes off to do whatever the hell he's doing, she's like, you're seeing these creepy guys.
She's ambushed by the Slender Men.
Holy crap, man. And the thing is, everything behind her is getting dark, and they're just approaching her, and she doesn't know until they grab her.
Yeah, and she's like, F this, and she gets like scissors.
Yeah,
and starts
those
like
giant
with,
shears that they use
like
to
old timey scissors.
to cut felt, to cut all these things.
And then she goes up to like, I'm not sure if it was Jack or another Slender Man, and she's like about to stab him.
Right in the face.
Right in the face. And then like John grabs her hand, and she's about to stab that like bitch roommate.
Yeah, so it's her bitch roommate. I think her name is Lara. And she is, man, that blade was like, if you can see it, it was like maybe an inch above her nose. So she freaks out and runs away, calling for security.
I think it was Jocasta.
Oh, Jocasta, sorry.
Where was Laura?
I don't know. Why is she up here as one person? I'm sorry, I'm looking at Google, and they have their top billing cast.
Yeah.
Anna Taylor-Joy is right ahead of Thomasin McKenzie, who plays Ellie.
Yeah, I think it was Jocasta who was her bitch roommate, but she almost stabs her in the face.
Right in the face.
And John like grabs her. And I was thinking, oh no, she's going to jail now. Yeah. But I guess in England, no one really cares about like this kind of stuff. It's just...
as long as it's not a gun.
Keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, keep calm and carry on. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, just another pickle.
Yeah.
So she's still trying to figure it out. She's going crazy.
Yeah, so he takes those giant shears out, and she bolts from the library.
And she's also convinced that Terrence Stamp, the old man, is the one who killed is Jack.
Yeah,
is Jack, and she keeps like, I know you did it.
I know what you did.
I've done a lot of things. You're gonna have to be more specific, love.
And she tries to get a confession out of him
because
he's already ogling her and like following her.
Yeah. So the way
he says, "You remind me of a girl I knew a long time ago."
And the reason he says that is because during one of these many flashbacks, when we see Sandy, constantly cycling through these men, he pops up, and he says, "You're too good for this."
Well, that's after like the reveal where he's like, I knew a Sandy, and you remind me of her, but I didn't kill her. Yeah. Like that. And then
not with a with a southern accent.
Yeah, I know. I say I'll kill you.
Tell you what, boy.
I'm trying to be English, but I can't. But anyway, they come out of the bar after Eloise trying to get a confession, and he's like, yeah, I didn't kill her. And then like a car just like wrecks him.
Dude, yeah.
Like out of nowhere. This guy's life is ruined.
Like he's standing right in the middle of those tiny little streets that they have in old London town. Mm-hmm. And dude, he takes a header on a freaking cabbie.
Yeah, so Terrence Stamp turns into pizza, and then like the bartender comes out. She's like, "Oh my God, it's Jasper!"
Yeah,
like who the hell's Jasper? Like he was a cop.
He worked fast for a long time in the '60s.
He used to try to help girls, and then like that's when we had the flashback.
I know
that
meanwhile,
he was trying
all
to help
of us
Sandy.
are like, "What?"
Yes, yeah, that was actually that seriously was a red herring.
Yeah.
The funny thing was, I always thought, because I did see the trailer to this before it came out, I did think like Terrence Stamp doesn't look anything like Matt Smith. Like, why was he him in the future? And that was a red herring. He was not him in the future.
Yeah, he was not him.
So that was sad because the wrong guy died.
The wrong guy died, and man, did they do it well.
And then they did the whole horror movie cliche. It was a good cliche where the boyfriend's like, "We just need to get the hell out of town." Like,
he's like, "I'll drive you.
I'll drive. I got a car." He's like, because they kept on having a joke. Where are you from? All the way here from North London. Where are you from? South London. Yeah, because she came from like nowhere, right?
Yeah, she came from like the countryside. That took her like hours on a train ride to get there.
Yeah, exactly. In her Beats headphones.
Yeah, with her Beat headphones, and she's like, and then he's like, "Well, how do you expect me to get from South London to North London?"
Yeah, exactly.
Duh.
So they're like, we need to get the hell out of here. So like, let me go get my things. Maybe like the landlord will help me like get out of here. And like, so anyway, she goes. Okay, so since the landlord doesn't like boys, the boy waits in the car. John waits in the car.
Yeah,
and then she's like, oh, I need to move out. Because she's talking to her landlord here.
Well, she actually tells him, if in 15 minutes I do not return, come and check what I'm doing or make sure I'm safe.
Yeah. So Eloise tells the landlord, what was the landlord's name? Miss Collins. Miss Collins, played by Diana Rigg. Pretty much what's happening. Like, oh, I think the place is haunted. Like, I gotta get out. I can't be here anymore. Yeah. And then Miss Collins is like, I was thinking about what you said earlier. Like, this whole like town is haunted and like all kinds of crazy stuff happening here. And then she's like, but you know what? I was thinking someone did die.
Yeah. Well,
in
no.
your room.
And then she said that I had an officer show up and question me.
An officer showed up and started questioning me, and I was thinking someone did die.
Yeah, so
in
I
your
told
room.
him you were a little manic. I was like,
but she's giving her tea while this is happening.
Yeah,
and then she's like,
"That's English, of course. It's tea.
It's tea." And she's like, "Oh, a long time ago, like, and I was a young starlet.
Yeah,
and I got mixed up with the wrong people, and I just kind of murdered them all. Like,
oh my god."
She said it
She's
so,
like, and she said
it so nonchalantly too.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we have Ellie. She looks down at her tea, and she's like, "What?" And she's
There's
drinking
clearly
it.
like stuff in there.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I won't tell anyone about anything." And she's like, "It's not that you won't, or it's not that
You can't.
You can't." Yeah, I was like, "Oh." And then, so she's like, what she told her, she said, I wasn't going to let London get the best of me. I was going to get the best of London. There's something akin to that. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
heavily.
She was pretty much like Jack the Ripper. Like, she killed all those men.
Dude, she slashed them up with that knife.
All those ghosts were legitimate ghosts of people who she killed.
And buried in her flat.
Like
they were in the floorboards, in the walls.
The house was the Shining House at this point.
Like
it was seriously the Indian burial ground, all that, all the cliche house.
And so like I guess the crescendo scene that we see here is, remember that scene where, Jack is stabbing Sandy. He wasn't stabbing Sandy. Sandy had moved, grabbed the blade by the actual blade, turned it and stabbed him in the neck, and then proceeded to stab him. So the knife pulling out and the blade that we see going with Ellie's eyes flashing in it wasn't going into Sandy. It was going into Jack.
Yeah,
and that's the.
But this whole like scene is done expertly, and then
oh my god,
and then she's like dying on the floor pretty much because she was drugged, and then all of a sudden John comes back. He's like, oh, where's Eloise? And she's like, oh, I don't know. She must have gone somewhere.
I know, man. And what's crazy is I just realized that Diana Rigg, when she so to play off that scene, so John shows up, and he's like, these damn kids or whatever, she grabs a blade. And then she has, I don't know why, I think Edgar Wright wrote her to kind of be like that crazy barmaid from one of his other movies, from not from Hot Fuzz, not the barmaid, the inn hostess, to be like her.
Maybe
because it was like a hag. It was
great. There's more.
There's so many plays on his other movies.
Yeah, there's more plays on other movies. But we'll get back to the whole plot and the twist here.
Yeah.
But M. Night Shyamalan, take notes because there have been clues all throughout this movie.
Oh my god! And the red herrings were like hard red herrings.
Exactly. And you didn't even think that it was a whodunit or there was
throughout the whole movie. Did I not once write this is a whodunit? I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. So she stabs John, but John's like just like hurt, and then she runs back up to her room, and in the room all the Slender Men who were John's, murdered by Sandy in the past. Like they were like ambushing her, and they hold her down for a minute, and they're like, "Call the police!" Like they didn't even say, "Like call the police, arrest her."
And we didn't even mention that freaking crazy old Miss Collins stabs freaking John right in the gut, and somehow the house gets set on fire from a flying ashtray, and then she's, we have Ellie running up the stairs after she's kicked crazy bat lady down him. And she goes into the room and starts getting attacked by these freaking ghost guys.
Yeah, the ghost guys, like, they're kind of... Okay, I think what happened, now that I think back, is that they were holding her down so she wouldn't call the police. They wanted her to kill Sandy.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. You have to kill... Like, you have to kill her.
Yeah, like
kill us.
Help us.
Help us.
And the dude that's saying help us was like the gnarliest one because... Sandy had sliced his mouth Joker style, and it was just like,
Yeah, so they're just these weird Slender Men. I was thinking, like, so now it was flipped. The good guy was the bad guys, and the bad guys were the good guys, but, like, they're still douchebags because, like,
because
they used her. And And then Sandy just she's old now, right? She's like, I guess I'll just die here. Like somehow she ends up like getting
out. Go sit on this bed and
go save your boyfriend. I'll just die. But then she turns into like young Sandy again. And then like Eloise is like, oh, come on, like we can go.
She's trying to hug her and console her and stuff.
And it was like sad for a moment, and she's like, no, I'll just die here. And then
she just sits in her bed, and then well, the next scene, the wipe and everything that we go through is now there's a fashion show.
Yeah, so now Eloise is talk of the town, fashionista, and I guess everyone's cool with her almost stabbing Jocasta in the face.
Yeah, and it must have taken place like almost immediately following because she was wearing a bandage after she'd gotten slashed.
She was still going to school and doing everything.
And she has like guts of steel to survive being poisoned.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. To me, that was the only plot. That and the Beats headphones were the only plot holes.
Yeah, but man, those are a drop in the bucket, man. Those are nothing.
Yeah, no knock. You got to get the movie paid, man.
Oh my God, this movie.
Yeah. Go see this movie. See this movie twice.
Yeah, we're gonna go see it twice.
Yeah, I'll buy this movie when it comes
I'm definitely buying it. So like 3, 4, maybe 5 times I'll watch it.
Yeah, exactly. But then during the fashionista scene, and it ends, and they go back in the dressing room, and she sees her mom again in the mirror.
And she hadn't seen her mom this entire time.
Yeah, because she thought her mom was like trapped in the house, but somehow her mom was able to like come out. And then it ends with her seeing Eloise
across the room. She sees
Sandy across the room, young Sandy. And then it just ends with her like booping her.
Ends the way it began, which was she met Sandy. They did the finger boop to each other in the mirror and switched places.
Mm-hmm.
And this time they did the finger boop. And the scene ended, and here we have Last Night in Soho.
Aww. Shut up and take my money.
Pretty much. So another clue.
Yeah.
A fourth wall breaking clue. Do you remember I told you about James Bond was married once?
Yeah.
His wife was Diana Rigg. The same actress.
Really?
Yeah, she played Teresa Bond. She was the one who died.
No way.
And then we were talking about the Vesper. The Vesper died at the end, which was the other Bond girl who died horribly. So
she's crackers, Batman.
It was always meant to be her. Yeah. And then the other thing, just to kind of like have this Inception button half cocked here, was remember I told you that they wrote Red Rum in the letters?
Yeah.
I put that in my notes, and I thought, that's how she found out that she was the murderer.
Dude, and then, yes. And then they had the letter. Like, as soon as I saw that Miss Collins was going to hand letters to Eloise, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, because what happened was she said in the very beginning, her name is not really Sandy, it's Alexandra.
Because these were two huge plot devices. In the beginning, it's what got her to leave and shift her persona. And at the end, it's what got her to shift, and holy crap, now I got to go save something.
That's what I'm saying. If you're an eagle-eyed viewer and you saw the Red Rum, because you were already getting Shining vibes from this movie.
Oh, so yeah,
if you
absolutely.
I really want to go back and see if, like, because it looked like she was flipping through papers, and then one of them popped up and said Red Rum.
I have to watch this again.
And if it's not there, then like, I don't know, maybe it was just my brain wanting it, but I guarantee it's there now. Because
something had to be there. There was no way that a plot device that
it bookended like that so well.
So it bookended the freaking... Just the way it ended also, it wasn't like this stupid cold ending where it's like a twist and then you're like, the ghost grabs her shoulder and you're like, oh, that's lame.
Yeah, because she always had The Shining. And this movie had to echo The Shining.
Yeah, her grandmother knew it. Her mom knew it.
And to me, it's an unofficial Shining. It should be in the Shining verse. And it was good. Like, it was just one of these things where it was an expertly made movie.
It was well written, and man, I don't know how many adaptations they went through, but I feel like they just could have nailed this one on the first draft the way they did it. It was
so going back to the theater, I think you saw it at a time where not very many people were there. Not very many people were there too.
I was the only one in my theater.
Yeah, so there were some people. So you're looking back at M. Night Shyamalan and thinking like, dude, you haven't done this. You didn't make this movie, and
you shouldn't be on that wall.
You shouldn't be on that wall. We need to get Edgar Wright on the wall. Then I noticed something funny about M. Night Shyamalan's face, and then I got a little closer, and somebody smashed his eye, and they painted. They painted it back in.
Oh man, that's great. They must have watched some stupid movie of his right after coming out of there.
Some person probably saw.
They probably saw The Happening.
Yeah. And they painted it back in. I can imagine some high school student who worked at AMC just painting it.
He's like, I freaking hate my life. Oh, that could not have been better written. Oh my God, man.
I'm gonna hit this one. So even my movie watching experience of this was bookended.
Oh my God,
and I remember thinking, I think that's why I texted you. I'm like, dude, see Soho.
Yeah. So this guy never texts me to go immediately watch a movie. I mean, obviously we have to because we're doing this, but he said it. It felt like moments after he saw the movie, and I'm like, wow, I have to go watch this now.
It was a good movie. So I'm gonna start off unless you have any other burning points.
I do not. I want to actually get to my closing statement.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna give this one an A, maybe an A+. Last Night in Soho is a true masterpiece of the mystery, suspense, horror genre. I have a renewed respect for Edgar Wright and his body of work. This was possibly the best movie of 2021.
Oof, that's a big one.
Yeah, I don't know.
So to play on that, I'm also going to give this an A. Just a solid A. So that's 2 A's. That doesn't happen very often. I said, come on, Edgar Wright doing it right. This movie came from left field, and I'm so glad it did. This movie was something I was not used to experiencing from Mr. Wright, but at the same time, it was exactly what I would hope would come from him. And speaking of his body of work, I was so glad he gave so many nods in the most Edgar Wright way. You didn't know unless you knew, and if you knew, you loved it even more. Wholly recommend this movie.
Yeah, you know what else I was thinking? I wrote it here, but the apartment, the haunted apartment, was next to that baguette place.
Yeah,
probably covered the smell of the bodies.
Oh, it smelled like garlic.
Yeah,
yeah. Garlic.
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to find best movie of the year. So I think
so. Right now the contenders are.
I think it's this one, Last Night in Soho.
Oh, I gotta say, man, I think so too.
And then Free Guy.
Free Guy is right up there.
And I don't know. I think I might have a soft spot for Suicide Squad. But
I kind of do.
But just a soft spot. It's a. I'd have to watch it again and kind of compare.
It's like an overripened fruit that fell on one side.
Yeah, but I think it's really Free Guy and Soho, and I think Soho is going to take the gold.
I think so too. Let us know.
But anyway, that has been our hot take on Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. I'm your host, Mark Rubalcaba, joined once again by Mr. Ayo Panetta. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Do what you can. Hide your kids, hide your wife. We will catch you next time.